So welcome to the webinar for the Overseas Student Program at Ben-Gurion University. Today's topic is why I chose Israel on the ground with two BGU students. And we'll be hearing shortly from Jay and Ekta, who are currently on the program for the spring 2015 semester. Before we hear from them, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jonathan Hakim. I am the coordinator for student recruitment and student affairs at the New York office for Ben-Gurion University. I am the main point of contact for all students interested and or applying to the program, so at some point you may interact with me. Also, I would like to just quickly, before we hear from the students, give a brief overview of the Overseas Student Program for those of you who might not be quite familiar with our offerings. We offer semester and year-long programs taught in English in a variety of academic fields with specialization in 4 tracks, which you can see here. They are entrepreneurship and innovation, global health, Israel studies, and sustainable development and the environment. One of the features of our program, which we are very proud of, is that we place all of our students in on-campus dormitories with Israeli roommates to really help foster the immersion and cross-cultural experience. This is a very unique aspect for study abroad in Israel and something that I'm sure the students on this webinar will discuss at some point. In addition to the semester and year-long programs, we also offer summer programs, language programs, and optional research internships for students if they are interested. We also offer a wide range of scholarships and financial aid for students on our program, as well as a dedicated office over in Sheva to oversee the study abroad students. And this office does include 2 student counselors who are full-time BGU students that serve as the first point of contact for students on the program. If any student is interested in either summer or fall 2015 programs, we are still accepting applications. At the end of this presentation, the last slide will be the Contact Us with our website, and you can find the application on there for both programs. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our 2 students, Jay and Ekta, and they will talk a little about their time over at BGU, introduce themselves, etc. So yes, we will now hear from them.
Hi everybody, my name is Jay. I'm a student at UVA. I'll switch to the right slide. So I'm a student at UVA. I'm pursuing a Jewish Studies major. Ekta will be with us in a few minutes. She just ran a 5K in Beersheba, which is pretty interesting and cool, and I'm sure she'll just be with us in a few minutes. So I'll just introduce myself for the moment. So here are my goals for the semester. Basically, what I wanted to get out of this semester was I wanted to increase the validity of my Jewish Studies major at my home university, and I figured a good way to do that would be to study abroad in Israel, which some might say is the Jewish state. It was also my intention to learn Hebrew, experience living in Israeli culture, and befriend Israelis. And Ekta comes from a different background. She's not Jewish, she's never been on Birthright, but she is a Middle Eastern Studies major, and she wanted a study abroad program that would broaden her view on her major. I can't speak too much for her. Hopefully she'll be here soon so we can hear from her. But ways that I've done this so far, especially the befriend Israelis part, Jonathan mentioned it before, was the student dorms. I live with Israelis, and it's been very interesting to hear their opinions. When I come back from class, I can bounce ideas off of them that I learned in class and get their feedback, and that's been very interesting. And even if they're not telling me factual information from time to time, it's interesting to hear their perceptions. It's also interesting to live with them because they've taught me some cooking, which is pretty neat. I've never had to cook for myself, and hopefully I'll take some of this Israeli cooking back. to the States. Also, one of my suite mates doesn't speak English that well, and so I have to speak Hebrew with him, and that has really improved my Hebrew. So here is a picture of Jerusalem. It was one of the earliest tours that we took with the overseas student program. And basically, we walked around the old city, and then we also walked around a neighborhood and talked. And the reason why this was interesting was, especially if you've been on Birthright before, we did all the stuff that you typically do on Birthright in Jerusalem, but we also went further because we have more time, and we were able to explore a neighborhood and spend a night there. So, and I've revisited Jerusalem a few times on my own and with friends since that experience. So coming back for 6 months after going on Birthright has been very influential. It was also one of the first trips that we took with our 2 student counselors that Jonathan mentioned, Neely and Nitzan. They're both amazing, and they've helped me through this program a lot. It's also interesting that they're current students, undergrad students. That helps me with the experience because they feel very attached to student life. And one of them lives in the dorms that I live in, so she's also attached to life in the dorms, and she really gets what living here is all about. This is another photo from Jerusalem with our entire study abroad group. Some of the people in this picture just stayed for the Ulpan, which was an amazing experience, basically 6 weeks or 4 weeks of learning Hebrew before the semester starts and going on trips and meeting everybody. And I would just have to say that this trip to Jerusalem was amazing, and it was a great first experience to Israel. Well, not first experience to Israel, but first experience on this program. We have also been to Tel Aviv a few times. We've explored Jaffa, and we've explored the city a little bit. We've been to major centers like Dizengoff, and we've also explored the beaches, of course. It's a really fun experience, and it's only a 50-minute train ride from Sheva. A lot of people say that Ben-Gurion University offers a true Israeli experience, and that's really true. Tel Aviv is going to offer you a much different experience than Ben-Gurion University, because Ben-Gurion University is located in Sheva, and Sheva is more of, some people would say, an authentic Israeli town, meaning, I suppose, less people speak English here, so you're forced to practice your Hebrew. You get a lot more Israeli culture, and you get all that with Tel Aviv only being a 50-minute train ride. Plus, at least this semester, I have 3-day weekends, so you have plenty of time to travel and relax on the beach in Tel Aviv or travel wherever you want to. And, just so you know, I suppose I should explain this picture. I am on the right-hand side. My friend Jamie is in the middle, and Ekta is on the left, the other presenter who hopefully she'll be here soon. She has a lot to contribute too, because we have very different backgrounds coming into the program. I'm Jewish, I've been on Birthright, and I'm a Jewish Studies major, so coming here was pretty obvious for me in terms of study abroad. She comes from a completely different background, and hopefully she'll be able to talk about that at some point. This is Tel Aviv during Poram. As you can see, some of us are dressed up. It was the last night of Poram. Well, Poram here is basically a week-long event, and this was one of the last days. It's taken at a restaurant in Tel Aviv, and basically we just had a great time exploring Tel Aviv. The nightlife is really nice, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great way, these small trips to Tel Aviv are a great way to get to know everybody from the Ben-Gurion, from your study abroad program. Yeah. I'll go back for a second and explain Purim. So Purim is a Jewish holiday. It follows the book of Esther. But here, everybody celebrates it. It's basically the Israeli Halloween. Everybody gets really dressed up and goes out and has a great time. It's basically a week-long event, and it's a lot of fun. Alright, so why was Israel right for me? I'll just explain quickly why it was right for me. There's no question about it. I was coming to Israel because I'm a Jewish studies major, and what better place to come to increase my knowledge of Jewish studies than Israel? So that's why I'm here. That being said, there are many other reasons to come to Israel. Ekta has a different reason than I do. But for me, it was more of a matter of figuring out which university works best for me and which does not. And one thing that I really appreciated about Ben-Gurion University is I heard from representatives from Ben-Gurion University in person a lot last semester at my home university. We sat down for coffee and talked about the pros and cons of going to Ben-Gurion. There aren't many cons, to be honest. And that was a great experience. Also, why Ben-Gurion mattered a lot to me was because it's in the Negev. That's the desert in Israel, and so it offers great hiking. This is the background picture. Actually, is a picture from Mitzpe Ramon, which is one of the largest craters in the world, I believe, and the little blaze on the rock is the Israeli trail blaze, and so that's the trail that goes from the top of Israel to the bottom of Israel, the hiking trail. Hopefully I'll get to hike that someday. But anyway, this was just a great experience. We hiked a little bit here and talked about the crater, and it was an amazing experience. So that kind of stuff, Mitzpe Ramon is really close to Ben-Gurion University, and there's also a lot more desert hiking right around Ben-Gurion University. There's a whole trail that goes through, that goes around the city. You get some great views. We've seen some Bedouin out on the trails, and you just get a nice view of the city and of the desert landscape. This was a BGU trip that we did a few weeks ago to see the Israeli wildflowers. And it was a really nice trip. And the reason why this was special was this isn't something that you're going to get most likely from a short-term trip to Israel. Because it's wildflowers. It's not a huge thing like Masada or the Dead Sea or Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. So it was nice to come here, and the only reason I was able to is because I'm here for 6 months and I have time to experience the smaller things as well as the larger things. And these flowers are really precious in Israel. They told us, please be careful where you step, don't step on them, and they're beautiful and they brighten up the desert landscape. Believe it or not, this place looks really green, but it's really close to Ben-Gurion University, and it's on the border of the desert. So the desert isn't all brown. There is a lot of green around here, and a lot of flowers too. This was a picture when I went hiking up in the north of Israel. It's a trail called Yam LaYam, which means sea to sea in Hebrew. And this is a picture of us starting at the Mediterranean. Only 7 of us made it to the Kinneret, which is the big lake in Israel. I don't know why I said us, because I did not make it to the lake, but it was really nice hiking. We hiked for 2 days, and it was a great bonding experience. I highly suggest hiking if you come to Israel. Oh, and I see that Ekta is on, so maybe she'll broadcast soon, hopefully. So why Beer Sheva? I'll just go through why Beer Sheva for me. The classes are really informative and really great. My professors are very knowledgeable, and they're all fun and they're all willing to stay after class to answer any questions we may have. Today in class, one of our students was talking about...
I'm here.
Hi, Ekta.
Hi.
So I was just explaining, I was just going through my reasons for coming to Sheva.
Got it. Sorry I was late, guys. I was running a race and there were technical difficulties.
So earlier in class today, one of the students asked the teacher about the Orthodox in Jerusalem and why the ultra-Orthodox in Jerusalem, and why she asked that was because we learned about them a couple weeks ago, and then she went to Jerusalem and made some observations and came back and shared those observations and asked some more questions. So that's one of the great things about classes here. You can really go see what you learn in class in social situations in the country. There's also a lot of time to explore the country. Like I said, we have 3 days, 3-day weekends. So time is built into the program for exploring the culture and exploring the country. And my leisure time, I travel, I hike, I relax in the outdoor pool, which is really nice, especially now that it's very hot. And I visit restaurants, and I'm doing this all with really great new friends.
All right, should I explain now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so I chose Sheva mainly because through my home institution back in the States, we were allowed to choose between Sheva and Haifa up north, and the one thing I heard the most was that Sheva has an amazing student atmosphere. You really feel like you're part of a community within Israel, and the best thing for me is that when you come to Sheva, you live with Israelis, so you get to ask them a lot of questions, you get to hear about their lifestyle. Like, it really is a great experience. And for me, I've never been to Israel before. This had been my first time coming here. And I feel like in Sheva, you are completely 100% immersed in the true Israeli culture. I remember getting here on the first day. They take us to the grocery store, and everything is in Hebrew. I knew no Hebrew. I knew Shalom. That's about it. So even that in itself was complicating, but there were so many people in the grocery store willing to help you. So little things like that. Most things in Sheva are in Hebrew, and although it has been a challenge, I truly believe that because I'm here, my Hebrew has improved so much. So that has been great. And living in the desert is great. You know, we're kind of on the edge between like not desert and the actual desert. So that's been really awesome, like just going hiking, like Jay has said before. And there's no humidity in the desert, so that's really awesome because it's definitely heating up now. That's the reason they had to have a race at night, was because it had to cool down. So yeah, this is why I chose Sheva, and so far I'm loving it. So yeah.
And one thing I forgot to mention when I was discussing hiking was the university has equipment that they will rent to you for hiking. So don't worry about that. They provide that for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain first, Ekta?
Yeah, so these are 2 pictures of our experiences so far in Israel. So on one side is Jay and our other friend Daryl. So right when the semester started, Poram had just ended, and Poram is like the equivalent of Halloween. And there's just, everyone has the craziest costumes. People go all out. I felt like I tried to overdo it, but I still felt like people were doing so much better with costumes. So there was a big Poram festival on campus, and it was really awesome. But another thing Israel is constantly trying to do is bring other cultures as well. And recently at that same time, it was Holi, which is an Indian holiday, which is a festival of color. So Purim turned into Holi, so there was just a bunch of colored powder being thrown at you. So that's Jay and Daryl. It took me like 3 days to get out all the powder from my clothes. And when you shower, it's just like a whole like color water everywhere, so that's great. And then there's a picture of me hiking through the desert. Like I said, I never used to want to hike before. It was just never one of my things. And then I got here, and one thing I've noticed is that everyone appreciates being outdoors and, really appreciating nature. And that's one thing I've started to do too. I love hiking now. I love just being outdoors with your friends and talking. So it truly has been a great experience. And when you live in the desert, like, you just see so many cool things, like all the awesome rock formations. As you can see, I'm loving it. So yeah. Josh, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, that's great. The only thing I would add is don't wear leather shoes to the holy. It takes so much time to get the color powder out of leather. But yeah, it was a very fun event. And like Ekta said, hiking is awesome, and the Poram Festival is a lot of fun. All right, so these are two pictures. The one on the left is at a memorial in kind of on the edge of Sheva. It's made out of concrete, and it's kind of a center for hiking. So the hiking path travels right through there. So we were on a day hike, and we decided to take a picture in one of these in the memorial, and it was a really nice way to bond with everybody on the trip. The second picture, maybe Ekta can talk about because she's in it.
Yes. So that was on a trip to Tel Aviv. And one of the best things about being in Beersheba is that it truly is only like 1 hour, 15 minutes from both Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. So it's very easy to get to both of the two major biggest cities, I believe, in Israel. So that's us, I believe, like right before Shabbat, going up to Tel Aviv. And before Shabbat, all transportation is very crowded. And I remember on that day, all of us had to sit on the floor. And there's actually a dog behind us. Dogs are also allowed everywhere, which is awesome in my opinion. But yeah, for me, the best things about being here is that the week ends and all of us are always ready to go somewhere new, try out new things. Sometimes with absolutely no plan, we just get a ticket, go, and figure it out there. And that's one thing I've been better at, is being spontaneous, not worrying about, oh my gosh, is everything going to be okay? Like, are we going to make the train on time? Is, like, going to work out? Just relax. You're with your friends. And for me, sometimes even the train journeys, getting lost on buses, all that stuff is the best part because it truly is an adventure every single day. So, yeah.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. My mom came to visit me in Israel, and she suggested that we go skydiving. So, of course, I agreed. And that's me on the bottom and the tandem instructor on the top. And in the background, you can see up the coast towards Haifa. Right now, or in the picture, I was in between Tel Aviv and Haifa. So that's what the coast looks like, and that's what the beach looks like. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. You have opportunities to do fun stuff like that.
I'm actually also supposed to be skydiving next week, so I followed in Jay's example. So I plan to be doing it too. And just because I wasn't here before, because I was at the race, just to quickly add why I specifically chose Israel, you might have seen it on the PowerPoint slide, but for me, my major is political science, and my concentration is specifically on the Middle East. So a huge part of me wanted to go somewhere in the Middle East that related back to my studying. Perfect. And one of my friends, who is 3 years older than me, studied at Ben-Gurion University, and she told me about her incredible experiences. And one of the biggest things she told me is, when you're in Israel, it's such a unique country, and a lot of people don't know much about it, and the only way you'll ever be able to understand Israel is if you go to Israel. And I'm such a travel geek. I love to go new places. I'd been to a lot of places in Europe, but I think Israel has the culture shock that I wanted. And I can honestly say that every single day has been a good day. I'm constantly learning something new, and in all my classes, there's just so much about Israel I had no idea about. And I'd heard about it, you can read about it, but you really never understand Israel until you get here. And no part of me wants to leave in 2 months. I'm already planning to come to grad school here, so as you can see, I love it here. Whether it's Hebrew, whether it's learning about the Israeli people, or just all the different places in Israel, I think that so far the past 4 months, I've learned more than I would have back in the States in a way. So I'm grateful for the experience. My parents are the best for letting me come to Israel. It means a lot to me, and I would never trade this experience for anything else. So yeah. Is there anything else that we should add?
I'm not sure. Now I think maybe we could open it up for questions if you don't have anything else.
I'm trying to think. No, I mean, I feel like I've added everything. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'd be more than willing to answer them.
Do you want to take that one, Ekta?
Yeah. So for me in my free time, a lot of it is honestly just walking around Beersheba, trying out different cafes, also spending time with each other. You know, it seems like such a small thing, but when you're only here in Israel altogether for 6 months, and we actually have it lucky because a lot of other abroad programs are only 4 months, but because of the Ulpan we do, it ends up being longer. So even something as simple as like cooking dinner together, or like going into the old city to try out new cafes, even going to the shuk is an adventure, honestly, because you have to like fight to get the good fruit, the good vegetables, speak in Hebrew, all those little things. And for me in my downtime, a lot of it is just sometimes even just relaxing, because when you're abroad, I feel like you're just always doing something, and there's no such thing as like just sitting down and breathing. And honestly, for me, my free time is really just spent with the people here, because it's already breaking my heart that I have to go back in 2 months, and it's going to be very difficult to see some of the people because we're scattered all over the world, really. So yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Jay?
I agree with all of that. Relaxing, walking around Beersheba. The old city is great to walk around here. There are a lot of cafes, like Ekta said. And then the pool that I mentioned earlier has become wonderful now.
Yes. So one of the professors from New Jersey said that I'm a professor, and the question of safety will come up from parents. One thing I can say about that is that for my parents too, it was a huge step. They were a little bit afraid, but being here, I haven't felt unsafe once. Everyone goes through safety protocols, explaining things to you, and I walk around on my own, like whether I'm going to the grocery store by myself. Like I never think that something bad can happen. And while safety is definitely a concern being in the Middle East, being in this area, I think Sheva, the university, does a great job of making students feel safe on campus. I'm walking around Tel Aviv, Jerusalem with friends. I don't feel unsafe at all. I can just say that. And even my parents actually did visit me for 9 days, and even they realized that it's completely safe here. They feel more comfortable after seeing the country and, really experiencing it as well. So one thing I can say is that have faith in the people here. Everyone's willing to help anybody out. I know on a hike I tripped and scabbed my knee, and a lady from a nearby house let me come in and bandaged up my leg. Little things like that. People really do look out for each other in this country. So things like that, I feel safe. I think Jay does too.
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel very safe here, actually. In my day-to-day life, and also in the general context of being in Israel and the Middle East. I feel very safe. And safety is mentioned and discussed for a period of time during the orientation.
Yeah, I remember when we first got here, they told us where things were, what to do. You're given this like big packet on different things, so they really do go over it with you. And even like when you get here, you have healthcare. So even stuff like that is like Sheva, Ben-Gurion University, and the program itself is very good at explaining stuff to you. All right, let's see if there's any other questions.
There's
how do you find?
Go.
Oh, there was one saying, how do you find the people in Sheva?
Yeah, that's good.
Should I answer that first and then you?
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I've realized is that people are really willing to help you. I've been around Sheva multiple times, like to different new places, and I really don't know much Hebrew. I mean, I like to think I do, but then I talk to other people and realize how little I know. But if there's ever a time where I'm struggling with trying to understand someone behind me will step in and help me out. And like I said, Ben-Gurion University has a great student atmosphere. Just walking through campus, especially now that the weather is so nice, you just see people lounging around, like having fun. There's also a lot of just like groups of people on campus in the lawn, like reading together, doing homework together. And you get this vibe that everyone just seems to be really enjoying themselves here, and it's contagious. They say happiness is contagious, and it's so true. And I've never had a really bad encounter with anybody once. I'm trying to think. I don't think anything bad has happened with anybody here. The only thing I can say is that Israelis are very to the point and blunt, which is not something some people would be used to, but I consider that a good thing. But from what I've realized is everyone here is super helpful, and especially if I don't know my way around, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten lost. So people have been really great about that.
Yeah. Ekta touched on it a bit, but I think the perception of how to be polite and how to be nice here is a little bit different than it is in the States. For example, today I opened the door for a guy walking into a shop, and he looked at me kind of funny and said like, "Oh, toda rabba," which means thank you very much. But I don't think he was very used to people opening the door for you. So things like that, maybe not so much, but real things that matter, people really care about you. I saw a woman like fall off of her bike, and 15 people just rushed around her, made sure she was okay. So when it really comes to your safety and health, people care about you here.
Yeah. And one thing that is often used to describe Israelis is that they're called like cactuses. It's like they seem really hard on the outside, but deep down they're such soft people. They're so caring. Everyone treats each other like family. And that's not something I was used to being from New Jersey. People aren't really like that either. So coming here when I don't have any family here, and I have people inviting me over to Shabbat after just meeting them once. And Shabbat is something that's cherished in Israel. Every weekend people get together with family and friends. And to have people I just met invite me to their homes for dinner is something I've never experienced before. So that really is a good feeling. And Jay, I think someone knows you from UVA.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hi, Kristen. Nice to see you. I'm glad other UVA students are thinking about this program. So the question is, how do you plan on sharing your experiences abroad with students at your home university? Do you think that your time abroad has transformed you in any way? Well, I'll just say that informally, I'm going to talk about this experience with everybody because it's been awesome and it's consumed the last 6 months of my life. So when I get back, I'll be talking to all my friends about it. In a more formal way, I'm going to attend a study abroad fair where I'll be available with a BG representative, hopefully, to talk about the experience more.
And for me, like I also have a study abroad fair where we talk about our experiences with people who are thinking to study abroad, so I'll also be doing that. And informally, one of my biggest goals is to let people know that there's more to Israel than what you see in the news. Because I can honestly say so many of my friends like constantly like just ask me like, hey, like how are you doing? Like always scared that something is gonna happen, and they don't realize that there's so much more to Israel than just the politics of it. So my biggest thing is just sharing my experiences. And I've had 2 friends already from Morocco and Germany visit me, and they have loved Israel. They totally understand why I never want to leave. And the biggest thing for me, I think, in the way that I've grown, is that I've truly learned to embrace other cultures. And one thing, I've gone to India several times, being Indian, but it was always when I was younger, so I feel like I never really appreciated the little things. But now, after living in a different country for so long, like, just, like, knowing my way around, just, like, appreciating the little things is something I've grown to do a lot more now. And also, one thing I've noticed about Israelis is they really do cherish every moment. And I think it's because of the way where Israel is. They really appreciate life, and they have a love for life, and that's something I don't really see as much back in the States, at least where I'm from. And there's such an emphasis on friendship and family that I really love, and I think I'm going to take that back with me, you know, just to appreciate something as simple as eating dinner with your family. I mean, of course I do, like, appreciate that, but just the fact that, like, Shabbat is such a big deal here, I've seen it. I've seen how people travel, like, an hour just to be with their family over the weekend, whereas I don't see that as much back in the States. So little things like that, I think I've grown to appreciate my family a lot more, my friends more. So in that way, I've grown a lot, and I think that's a good thing. I've told my parents that, and they've also realized that, so they're happy about that.
Another question.
Oh, this is a good.
Another question that we got earlier was, what's your favorite thing to eat in Beersheba? And that's actually an important question. Because there's so much good food. My favorite thing is shawarma by far, which is like rotisserie meat in a pita with vegetables and tahina and a bunch of other good stuff, hummus and all of that. It's hard to get sick of it. I've been eating it for 4 months, and I could use one right now. It's good.
For me, it's shakshuka. So I had never heard of it until I got here. And it's basically a traditional Israeli breakfast with, like, tomato, eggs, bread on the side, salad on the side. And I've always been, like, a typical, like, American, like, breakfast eater, like French toast, pancakes. So I was never really into eating, like that seemed so heavy to me. But my friend Maddie was like, Ekta, you have to eat it. And I was like, fine. Best thing ever. Literally, whenever I go out to brunch, even for dinner or lunch, I get shakshuka because I love it so much. And it's so filling that, like, you don't, like, if you eat it for breakfast, like, I can go the whole day and just eat dinner. And one thing I realized is that the Israeli diet is just really healthy. I feel like I don't eat junk food here at all. Like, most of my meals are, like, vegetables, like, really healthy stuff, and I become more conscious. I become a much more healthy eater in general. And I think it's because of the Israeli diet in general, like, just the kind of food that they always serve. Yeah, hummus here is very good. I'm going to be really sad when I go back to the States and there's no section dedicated to just hummus back in the grocery stores. So the next question is, can you give a highlight of BGU and or the OSP? Okay, Jay, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, the problem is I can give so many highlights. I'm trying to think of one highlight. Do you have anything in mind, Ekta?
I think this is really hard. This is really difficult just because there's so much we've done. But, okay, for me, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the first trip to Jerusalem, which was, like, the first weekend there. And Jerusalem is, like, such a big place. It's important to so many people. And literally when I, like, got off the bus and I told myself, wow, I'm in Jerusalem, it kind of really hit me that I was in Israel. And just, like, seeing the old city, the Western Wall, just walking around, like, Jaffa Street, like, going to the Machane Yehuda Shuk with all the amazing food, like, that was just, like, a key moment, I think, where it really hit me that I was going to be in Israel for for the next, 6 months, and it hadn't really hit me on the flight. I was delirious for the first week from jet lag. So I think it was that first weekend in Jerusalem where it really hit me that I was going to be in Israel for 6 whole months. And it wasn't just a vacation or a small trip. And slowly after that, it was starting to feel like home. And another big thing for me was upon the semester starting, I got to Germany to visit my friend. And as the plane was landing back in Israel, it felt like I was landing back at home. And that was also a great feeling because now I consider Israel home. I consider Beersheba one of my homes. And that's why it makes leaving so much more difficult. But I think those two were the biggest moments for me so far, in Israel.
So I would say my highlight would be an OSP activity that we did in the OSP office, and that might sound like something smaller than a big trip, but what it did was it really got us thinking about what we're doing in Israel and all the trips that we've been on, the classes that we're taking, the friendships we're making, and the Israelis we're meeting. And the way that they did it was that they brought us into a room and had us write down a bunch of experiences on a piece of paper, and then they gave us little slips of paper and asked us questions, and we had to answer the question and give it to another student, and most of it was anonymous. So at the end, you ends with this letter that you wrote to yourself and a bunch of little pieces of paper with comments from other students, and it just, besides making you feel really good, it really solidified what we had done so far in the program.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, I think both Jay and I, we came to Israel with different experiences, but at the end of the day, I can safely say for the both of us that we both love it. He had already been here. I had never been here before. I had no idea what was going to happen, what I was expecting, but I think both of us have so far had phenomenal experiences. We don't want to leave. I don't think you want to leave, Jay.
No. No.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that 4 months have flown by, but it's been a great 4.5, almost 5 months. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it goes by quickly, and I've enjoyed every second of it, and I'm looking forward to just taking in the next 7 weeks. So,
so sad.
So maybe if Jonathan would like to present and we could stop presenting now, that would be great. Thanks for having us, everybody.
Yeah, sorry for being late, guys.
All right. So thank you everybody for attending the webinar. We really appreciate it. As a reminder, this webinar will be emailed to all of you, so you'll have all of this recorded and with you for your personal enjoyment later on. I'd like to thank again the 2 students for presenting. Our contact information is here. So yes, thank you again, and we hopefully look forward to seeing you at BGU and in Beersheba soon. Thank you.